our staff says, hey, is this for you or your whole family? And you're knowing that most of the time it's not for their whole family right
Right.
there, but that's a seed. And so a lot of these processes are seeds. So we've talked in marketing about farming and hunting. In order to reap a crop from farming, you have to plant seeds, and that's what the process is all about. And there definitely will be processes where you go for the kill, you hunt as
Mhm.
well, but that's the start of a seed.
Hello, and welcome to Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. This podcast is dedicated to chiropractors who are in the seasons of launching and building their practice. Join myself, Dr. Lona, and my co-host, Dr. Bobby, as we have conversations each week as it relates to building the practice of your dreams. And remember, you can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. We're here to lead you on the way. All right, welcome back to the Build Your Remarkable podcast. I am here actually in Orlando, Florida. We are here for an immersion. I'm sitting, if you're on YouTube, you can see I'm sitting next to Dr. Chris Grier, and we are actually going on take 2 of recording an awesome podcast for you guys on internal marketing because it was so good the first time that I maybe didn't hit record.
It was a great test run, though.
Yeah, it was. And he has grace for me because, we need to laugh at these things.
That's right.
That's
We
great.
do.
Yeah, so we came together this right before we get ready for all of you that are coming into Orlando this weekend. We're doing the conversion retention seminar, which is going to be awesome.
It is.
Yeah, it's
Super
so
exciting.
robust. Yeah. So if you haven't made it to that in the future, next year when we have it, get your entire team down here and sharpen up your internal systems for sure. That's something that you can't get enough laps around the track with your entire team.
Absolutely. A full team. Such a big gain when you come to these.
Yes. So we are going to talk about internal marketing. And this is one of those things that I think many of us pride ourselves on having internal referrals. But whether or not we're actually systematized around it and truly leveraging how many ways that we can become systemized around bringing in new patients from our already existing patients is a whole nother can of worms. So Chris, why don't you start us off and just how you start to think about internal marketing?
Yeah, on scorecards, as you're working into building your team and making sure everybody has their unique sets of accountabilities and knowing what they're responsible for, one of the things we all need to be responsible for on some level is internal marketing. We need to tell the story. We need to constantly be looking within our practice to see who else we can attract into our practice because they're right there. They're right under our noses every day of our practice. So it's one of the most rich sources of attraction out there. And like Dr. Lona said, sometimes it's easy to just go, oh yeah, like people refer to us and only rest on organic referrals.
Mm-hmm.
But really there are 3 types of internal referrals, one of which is organic. Then we have to make sure that we're doing some campaigns. So those are the bigger, you have bring a buddy to your adjustment day or week, things like your anniversary weeks, anything you do around the holidays, those are going to be campaigns. But the things that happen day in and day out that need to be really systematized are the system or process driven internal referrals.
Yep. So I know that was something for me that I think coming into TRP, I would have said, oh yeah, we're like a referral based practice. And that was great. There was nothing wrong with that. That was a good thing. However, to start scaling, this is where I realized not only do I need to really double down on how much we could leverage internal referrals, because obviously those are usually our easiest patients to convert. They're the best patients generally, not always, but a lot of times because
Yep.
they're being referred in from people who are already awesome patients who are telling them about what the practice is already like. So just the whole process becomes a lighter lift. But I hadn't really thought about where, other than maybe at reevals, that was something where, if on our reeval form, I think we had written, who else do you know that needs chiropractic? So
Right.
that was great, but there's a lot of other ways that you can systematize asking for referrals. So maybe throw out a few ideas for us.
Sure. And let me just say one thing based on what you said there. They're usually the best because they already have broken down one of the hardest things to walk through your front door, which is trust. Because somebody they trust has referred them in. So by proxy, they trust you
Yeah.
already.
That's
And so know, like, and trust is what you have to break down. They don't know you yet. They're not sure if they like you yet, but the hardest one is trust, and they've already got that taken care of. So on the topic of like, what do we do to make our processes lead to more referrals? It starts even as early as that first phone call. So in our process, in the first phone call, somebody calls and says, yes, I'd like to make an appointment. And after we say, when's the last time you saw the doctor? We'll say, is this, well, they say they haven't. So they're a new patient. And then they say, our staff says, hey, is this for you or your whole family? And you're knowing that most of the time it's not for their whole family right there, but that's a seed. And so a lot of these processes are seeds. So we've talked in marketing about farming and hunting. In order to reap a crop from farming, you have to plant seeds, and that's what the process is all about. And there definitely will be processes where you go for the kill, you hunt as well, but that's the start of a seed. And then really throughout our day 1, day 2, day 3 processes, and day 4, if you include all the way through the new patient orientation, there are dozens of opportunities to plant seeds throughout. So when you do ultimately make the ask for the new patient referral, people are used to it. It seems normal for them, like, oh yeah, there is this person that I've been thinking about.
I love that. And I love the easy conversation too about marketing, just looking at it. Is this a hunting activity? Is this a farming activity?
Yep.
And I dare say that I think, and maybe this is me being, you can see which way the pendulum has swung for me, but we are excellent farmers, maybe not as excellent hunters, in the way that I've built our practices, but we are continually just planting seeds all over the community. And those have really come to fruition for us. So,
yeah. It's so important, especially for those of us that, don't practice in megalopolises like you and I.
Yeah.
We have to farm so that we have that trust within the community, and so that our community understands that that's part of what we do, is that we are on a mission, that we want to help the community, and part of their job is to refer others to us.
Yep. And when you're thinking about, okay, maybe I could do more in setting up process-driven referrals in my practice. Like, let's say you already know that, all right, I'm organically creating 15 new patients from referrals because I've been tracking that per month. But wouldn't it be great to have another 10 a month that you're just cultivating through, whether it's, what Dr. Chris said there is like having your staff trained to ask a leading question that plants a seed, or I know for us on day 3, we give them kind of a care card that they can pass on to one of their friends or families that gives them a reduced exam for that friend or family. That's a huge one for our practice because it's us specifically inviting them to invite someone else into the practice. And one thing I used to do wrong, so don't do this, is that I waited too long. Like, I thought people had to be well immersed in care before they were going to refer, like already experiencing all the benefits. But when are people most excited about care is truly in the beginning, because it's like, oh my gosh, this is new. They're saying new things. That doctor listened to me. Trust is being built. I need to tell more people about it while it's fresh. So just keep that in mind. If you're making the mistake I did, I didn't ask early enough. And I had to get that, course corrected in my own mind, that we could ask earlier, whether that's in asking them to invite someone in or even asking for a testimonial or a review. Those can come earlier many times than what we think that maybe could.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's the idea. I mean, both is the ideal, right? But if we think about when you would refer somebody to a great restaurant that you just went to for the first time and you had a wow experience, you're going to refer them right away. You're going to leave the restaurant. Maybe that night you're going to call a friend or your spouse or whatever. Whoa, you can't believe where we just went. It's a similar thing when we do day 1 and day 2 correctly, then they're having these aha moments, these wow experiences, and that's a great, rich time for them to refer.
Yes, definitely. And then another mistake I made that TRP really helped me on is, as I was scaling, I needed to realize that not only did I need to teach my other chiropractors how to ask for referrals, but I had to realize that it's okay to realize that having not a dominant referral based practice anymore, once we started having 2, 3, 4, 5 chiropractors all trying to see more people, it was like now we need external, internal, and digital all farming and hunting together,
Right.
because sometimes you don't know what the tipping point is for someone. Someone needs 2 touch points, someone else needs 200 touch points
Right.
of seeing your brand, right? So just keep that in mind too.
Yep. And when other people tell other people about you, and then they see you externally somehow or digitally, it all accumulates.
Right.
And I think too, with sometimes even when we do our initial processes right. So I'm saying this because some of you might be watching this and you're like, man, I've just started this thing of asking people for new patients in their first 2, 3, 4 days, and it hasn't borne much fruit yet. Sometimes it takes a while for that too. The person can be in your office, super happy, doing great with care, maybe been there a while, and at the same time, they have people at home that they would like to get in.
Right.
They just aren't quite, they don't remember the mechanism, or they haven't been asked recently. And this actually happened in my practice here recently. There's a woman we care for named Whitney, and she had been in for a year and a half, maybe even 2 by that point. But on a particular visit, she was talking with me about her son, who we did not see at that point, who had been having some concussions. And it was a really sad story. The first concussion was from sports, but then the additional concussions, and at this point he had been diagnosed with 10 of them, were from bullying at school because he wasn't able to be in the sports and all that. Just a tragic story. He was having migraines. He was really struggling at school because of the issues that came from this. And we actually were doing an internal workshop, so a workshop on concussion. So Whitney saw that. It triggered her to think, oh my gosh, I've never asked about concussion, and could that help here? And we thought that she was a well-educated patient.
Right.
But the internal campaign that we were doing drove her to ask the question. And then when she asked the question, that was when I had the opportunity to go hunting right there, because I wasn't about to let Caleb, this is the boy's name, I wasn't about to let Caleb not get checked after I heard that story. And I said to her, I said, Whitney, we've had great results with people, especially kids with concussions, athletes, and otherwise. And, it sounds like this is really impacting Caleb's life. Is this the right time to get him checked? Because we would love to do that. And that was the trigger for her to, and then I help her up to the front desk. We get him scheduled right then and there. It's all part of the process. That's a process-driven referral there. And then he came in. Well, this was actually 2 years ago. After the first year, he was doing great. He was back to most of his school activities, was only having 1 migraine a month, and he had been having them every 2 days. It was terrible. And then fast forward another year, he just came in, I guess 4 weeks ago, because we just saw him again yesterday. But 4 weeks ago, he came in, and Whitney was like, tell him what's going on. He looked at me and he smiled and he goes, I'm back on the baseball field. He hadn't played for 2 seasons. And I said, oh, that's great. And then he said, but there's more. He said, I thought I was going to be really rusty, but my sinker's nastier than ever. So I just love these things. He's 12 years old. Yeah, love it when kids are passionate about something. And there are a lot of kids that I think there's the moral of it. There are a lot of kids, there are a lot of people that are influenced by our practice members that are right under your nose. They just need to have that trigger to know how to refer and to be able to do it right then and there.
And to know how chiropractic fits in. That's why doing those internal workshops, and where, that mom is thinking, what helps my child from concussion, not necessarily putting together the connection between chiropractic, subluxation, and concussion.
Right.
Right. And that's probably our biggest hurdle for most of us, is we've got so much influence, so much trust built out, but the true aha of knowing that that's going on with said family member actually could be influenced by chiropractic addressing the subluxation.
Yes.
Is the part that we don't have market share on that yet.
Nope.
And so that is the work to be done. And that's why we're always promoting, whether it's internal, external, digitally, trying to draw more bridges in so that people can get the benefits of chiropractic that they just don't know maybe apply to them.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. That obscurity that we have, kind of makes some sense out in the public. But just know that it's also a factor in the office because of those things. They don't know that this condition or that condition or this set of traumas or whatnot might be something that chiropractic can help with. Keep having the processes to regularly talk with people about it. And that's what sets up the process driven side of your internal attraction.
Right. And why you're always looking to like, how many ways can we say something? How many times and repetitions can we show it, tell it, demonstrate it? Because so much of it, think about how many repetitions we've had to get to our level of understanding, you know, a connected nervous system and how it influences the outcomes. You know, it's simple, but it doesn't mean it's well understood, right?
Right. And timing is a big deal too.
Right.
Because, you know, they have to say this, oh, that sounds like me. They also have to get to the point where they say this is the time to do it.
Right.
And oftentimes the first 2, 3, 10 times they've heard something, it wasn't the right time for whatever reason in life. So we have to stay with it. And that can be
and not take it personally.
Right. Yeah. It can be like you just have to wait for that seed to grow. You have to wait for it to grow. My
story I always share with my team is there's a gentleman named Mike that's come into our practice for probably a decade, maybe more now at this point. And he would come in faithfully and his wife would sit in the car and she'd sit in the car and she'd sit in the car and she'd sit in the car. And Mike would tell me, oh, I've got to go to this doctor's appointment for Mary. And he'd tell me about what was going on with Mary. And I'd say, Mike, bring Mary in. And Mike would be like, oh, yeah, I'll try. Right. And 5 years later, one day, Mary comes in with Mike. Right. But I had probably invited Mary to come in 20 different times through Mike at that point. But it's a seed that just needed to have the right amount of gestation period to like get there. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And if you wouldn't have kept asking, then what happens? And if I wouldn't have had that conversation with Whitney, then what happens to Caleb? That's really the thing that I want to drive home, I guess. And thank you for having me on too. You guys bring so much value in this podcast. So thank you to the listeners. Just know this is one of the best, if not the best podcast in the entire profession. So it's an honor to be on. But the point is, like, if you don't do those things, then what happens to the person that doesn't get to have your care? And at least, you know, think about the Caleb story there. If Caleb does not come into my office to get the care that allowed him to fully recover, then what? Because they were already going down the medical route and it was not leading to better outcomes. And we all know that that's way too typical, way too often that's the case. So what happens if you don't do it? Ought to be one of the motivators. There's such huge value in you doing it, even though it might not seem that the first, 5th, 10th, or 20th time you've said something, it's doing anything. It is. Keep after it so that you can see those Calebs that are right under your nose also.
So good. So good. Thank you for that story. That's a powerful story for anyone in your practice, like your team, to really put those things together in their mind too, because you see a child like that get his life back.
Yes.
Right. And then that reminds you how many kids out there don't know and don't have a mom like Caleb that could find those answers. And so that's just, again, motivating to do your external marketing, to make sure you're actually sharing these stories, because it isn't just about growing a practice, right? It's truly like all of us that know what we know take care of our families and our lives differently. And sometimes I don't think we truly understand and we take that for granted, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We can forget how great it is to live the chiropractic lifestyle and to trust your body.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Well, thank you, Dr. Chris.
You're welcome, Dr. Lona. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And people can find you on Instagram, right?
Yep.
You're a big Instagrammer.
Yeah. Yep. Either at Dr. Grier or at TRP Coach Chris.
Yes. Perfect. All right. Till next time.
All right. Thanks.
Hey everyone, please listen in for this next bonus interview of one of our remarkable success partners. They all help us help more people find the benefits of chiropractic. So listen on.
All right, what's up everybody? This is Coach Dr. Sebastian. Today we're talking about spinal hygiene and implementing spinal hygiene in your office to have not only better results, but to just elevate the standards, raising your standards and just providing a more comprehensive care that ultimately helps better the patient. By the way, for those of you who don't have 30 minutes for listening to this whole podcast, in the end, Dr. Tabor is going to offer 10 calls, 10 doctors, 10 strategy calls to help 10 doctors implement. He's going to go step by step. It's just 4 steps, super easy, step by step to just implement. Whether you use his products or not, he doesn't care. He just wants to elevate the profession, elevate your standards, and help you help more people in a more aligned way. So if you're interested, just in the comment, in the section of the comments, just put the word, Spinal Hygiene, and we'll reach out, or they can send an email. Where can they get a hold of you, Dr. Tabor?
Dr. Tabor at spinalhygienist.com.
Look at that. So perfect. That's for all those of you who gotta go. For those of you who got time, you're in for a treat. So Dr. Tabor, I've been using Spinal Hygiene now for how many years, bro? Like 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, 4 or 5, at least 4.
4 or 5 years, and I went from using Maximize Living's home care kit, which are great but very expensive, to saving literally 66% on every home care kit, so adding to the net profit, and also being able to provide the same results. So not only I'm saving a lot of money with these home care kits from Spinal Hygiene when I made the shift. Not only that, but it also comes with this booklet, and the booklet is in Spanish. For those of you who don't know and can't notice the accent, I'm in Puerto Rico, and I have 2 offices in Puerto Rico, 2 in the States, and that's what we use, and we're saving money. Where the patients have something that is very visual also, so that is very user friendly. I just love it, man. I really do love it. And I also love the fact that you're doing this to not only help doctors, increase their profit and, have different verticals. All right, whatever, that's left hand, but right hand, meaning mission and vision. Man, we're just elevating the whole profession. We're just elevating the standards and helping doctors just raise their own standards. And that just helps them, the patient, and chiropractic.
Amen, brother. Thank you. Yeah, I want to share today real quickly how you can increase your retention in your practice. Look, the spinal hygiene kits, they get great results for your patients, which is awesome. They're easy to implement. You don't have to do any work. It's team driven, super easy, which is awesome. But the big thing that our doctors that are using spinal hygiene kits are seeing is that it's helping to plug the holes in the practice. You're spending so much time, so much effort, so much energy, so much money on marketing, getting new patients in, which is the lifeblood of the practice. You have to do that. But if you don't have a system that engages those patients once they start care, and you don't have a system that educates them about lifetime spinal care, then you're going to have lower re-signs, you're going to have no growth, and there's just going to be a lot of stress in your practice that doesn't have to be there if you implement a simple spinal hygiene program. Look, we have 4 clinics in the Houston area, and I get a lot of practice trying to plug these holes, trying to build these clinics, and nothing has worked better since we've implemented some of the strategies I'm going to share with you real quickly. Our R4 stick rate has increased. Our re-signs have increased. 2 of our 4 clinics have set monthly records in the last couple of months. We set a company-wide record of 254,000 collections in 1 month, all because of the things I'm going to share with you today. And we're still doing, marketing across the board that we've always done, posting content like crazy, paid ads, Facebook, Instagram, Google. We're doing dinners, we're doing workshops, all those things that are bringing the new patients in. You got to keep doing. But we're focusing our efforts on a couple of other areas that are really paying off. And it all started when we started really tracking numbers from our marketing. We were tracking the cost per acquisition, not only the cost to acquire an exam, so how much are we paying to get a lead to convert to an exam. Then we started tracking how much ultimately are we paying per area of marketing. For example, like how much are we paying to get a Facebook patient to start care every month? How much are we paying to get a dinner with the doc patient to start care every month? We were noticing some months, some of these pathways or some of these marketing avenues we're spending $1,500 to start a $2,500 care plan or a $3,000 care plan. Some of them were paying $3,000 to start a care plan. We shut those down immediately, but we noticed a trend that was happening in our clinics. In fact, we noticed that 42% of our monthly income actually comes from referrals, even though we were spending almost zero time focused on
Wow.
referrals. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, amazing. That's amazing. There's a lot of referrals and engaged patients are
Sure.
compliant patients. And that's
Absolutely.
our business, man. We're in the business of compliance.
And compliance or engagement, same type of thing. If you can increase compliance and engagement, you increase all other statistics.
Everything,
It
everything.
raises everything. And
Exactly. This is why I love your product. This is why spinal hygiene is, it just affects every area, every aspect of your practice.
so get this, we're spending 42%. I mean, we're bringing in 42% of our monthly income from referrals, but we're spending 80% of our marketing money and time on digital. Not we still do digital, but I'm just saying we weren't spending enough time focused on the things, the 80/20 principle, focusing on the things that are actually working in through there. And so what we did is we created a couple of pathways, some specific systems built in, and TRP teaches this already. Unfortunately, we just weren't doing it very well. It's our family referral program, making sure that we're doing better results faster workshops, and at the end of every workshop, we're telling them for the next 2 weeks, friends and family get a free exam in our office. So let the front desk know who you want scheduled. We'll include all x-rays. So we're increasing referrals during every Better Results Faster workshop. That's working for us to get more new patients in. We started a condition of the month, and we tied the condition to our body signals workshop, which we're already doing, right? But now we have posters all over the office every month. The doctors know that we have to ask 3 people a day. Like this month is raising healthy kids. We're like, we're focused on raising healthy kids this month, Mary. Who do you know who needs to get their kids in the office? And we have referral packets up at the front. And one of the specific things that we've done that helped us more than anything increase engagement is starting what we call a 21-day spinal hygiene challenge. And we start it during the Better Results Faster workshop. So where we used to do a day 3, day 1 is the exam, day 2 is the report, day 3 is their first break-in or their first full day in the office. And we used to give them their kit and show them how to use it there. Now we do that at the Better Results Faster workshop, and we tell them, we're going to sign you up for the next 21 days. You're going to get an email from us that will remind you to do your spinal hygiene exercises and will help you to create habits that will help you take care of your spine for a lifetime. So from the beginning now, we're talking about lifetime spinal care. And we do it for 21 days because we tell them it takes 21 days to create a habit. And then we want you to go on, and once you've created that habit, we want you to continue to do it. It takes 90 days to create a lifestyle. And we want you to make taking care of your spine and nervous system part of your lifestyle. So
Yep.
that in the beginning, getting patients engaged in that is it's vital. You'll see all your statistics increase. And then that's built in education. So along with the 21 days, every email is educating. It's almost like a blog. Every day they're getting that. They're getting reminded, and they're seeing the reasons why they need to take care of their spine and nervous system. Along with that, we implemented email protocols for our body signals workshops or for our conditions of the month. So now we have a pure content driven email that goes out to our patients every week. And so this month again is raising healthy kids. So they got an email an email this week talking about the importance of chiropractic for kids with a link in it that drives them to our body signals workshop or raising healthy kids workshop. And next week, they're going to get another content email, and then with a link in it, drives them to our workshop. Another email drives them to our workshop. And then the next month is Bulletproof Your Low Back, I think. So we're doing that every week with a link in it, content that's educating them. And the only way you're going to grow and stop those leaks and build retention is through engagement and education. Dr. Franson calls it, turning believers into understanders. That's how we do it. More engagement, more education.
Yeah, man. This is one of the reasons why not only we need a practical way of applying this, which is the spinal hygiene kit and the physicality of it, and giving something like very real to the patient. And it just increases accountability. Again, just engagement, compliance. Also, the flip side of that is the doctor doing the spinal hygiene also? Is
Right.
the doctor also practicing what it's preaching? So this is a very big idea for a lot of chiropractors who are like, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm not taking care of my spine. I'm not doing what I'm asking my patients to do. And when you enroll in this 21-day challenge and you do it with them, it just not only helps you as a doctor, but you start creating community
Yep.
within
Absolutely.
your practice, which also drives retention. It's something that it's like free marketing, man.
Absolutely. Which is another reason why I would love for the listeners, at least the first 10, to set that call up with me, because I'll walk you through not only how to use the products, implement them efficiently in your office, but I'll show you how we set up the 21-day challenge. I'll show you how we set up our weekly drip emails, and we can even do that for you. And I can explain exactly how we do that for you if you want that done. But you can or implement these systems that increase engagement and education really without you having to lift a finger or do much of anything at all. And you'll start to see light bulbs go off in patients, their eyes whenever they come in and they start realizing, I haven't been taking care of my spine. And, you're the one teaching them how to do it now. Then you become that expert, you become their lifetime chiropractor. That's how dentistry did it, right? Was
Right,
they were teaching people how to take care of their teeth, not just coming in for regular
right.
visits all the time, but how to do it at home. And what it did is it built a value on that. And now society has a greater value of taking care of the teeth. The same exact value, if not more, should exist for the spine and nervous system. And we can create that in our own culture, in our own communities, by implementing these spinal hygiene programs.
I have a question. Why do chiropractors, in your opinion, don't have spinal hygiene, or they don't recommend corrective exercises? Um, in your opinion, why is it that some chiropractors don't do that, don't have that, don't implement that?
Yeah, I think it's the same reason why a lot of chiropractors do pay per visit. You know, it's just like they think they sell this one thing, and that's all they do. Whereas a lot of the TRP chiropractors, a lot of chiropractors who practice like us, they want to be that. They want to change people's life, change their lifestyle, be that educator. They want that office to be a family practice and help take care of generations. If you want that, then I think a spinal hygiene program is something that's really important.
Yeah. I'm gonna share my screen real quick, because this goes perfect with this talk track. I've been talking to doctors who are um, just, a lot of doctors not only do chiropractic, but they also have decompression and soft wave and whatever it is that they are doing, functional medicine, supplements, right? So basically, what I see in a lot of practices uh, is this model, which is the pie model, right? The pie model says that in this office, we do chiropractic care, we do functional medicine, we do decompression, we sell supplements, and we do corrective exercises, spinal hygiene. Okay. Now, what we teach is subluxation centered model. Everything you do is to correct the subluxation. The problem with this model is that even though you're cross-selling and you get, if you treat everyone as a vertical, a different vertical, you can have one, two, three, four different types of marketing. It's like four different businesses in one business. If you treat it that way, it's very economical. But when you try to cross sell between them, it's like it creates an either or conversation. It's like, okay, so I'm done with chiropractic. Now I'm gonna do this. It's like, no. It's an and conversation. So doing either or conversations, you don't maximize the resources and all these patients that you have inside this model. So what we teach is the following model, which is you have subluxation correction in the middle, and then you have, corrective chiropractic care. You have to restore and correct the subluxation. You also have, functional medicine to decrease inflammation, decompression to help correct the subluxation. You have supplements for deficiencies and toxicities to reduce the chemical cause of subluxation so that we can correct your subluxation. We have spinal hygiene, which are corrective exercises that are going to help you correct your subluxations. So now subluxation becomes the center message. It can also be inflammation. Okay. And now it's easy to connect all those. Yeah,
Yep.
listen, you need to see the functional medicine because it's going to help you correct your metabolic subluxation. And then it's just like, oh, okay, right.
Yep.
So, right, I'm here because I'm here to correct my subluxation. This is the benefit of having a subluxation-centered philosophy, subluxation-centered approach. And this is real easy to cross-sell, much easier. So I love how, spinal hygiene fits into the subluxation correction model. It's first of all, we include it in every care plan. And again, it just drives engagement. Engaged patients are compliant patients, and they get better results. They get, they refer, they stay longer, so they retain, and revenues increase. So how we say it is like, in compliance, we have our favorite R's, which is referral, retention, revenues, and results. So yeah, what do you got to add about that?
What's interesting, when you were writing that diagram, it made me think, like, in dentistry has done a similar model in that, if a family practice, at least, they want you coming in pretty regularly for checkups to find cavities, because you have to have a dentist on your health team to check, detect, and correct cavities. You can't brush them out at home. You can't use floss and get rid of a cavity. Once a cavity's there, you got to have a dentist to correct it. And it's similar with subluxation. You can't exercise out a subluxation. You can't do enough spinal hygiene exercises to correct that subluxation once it's really there. That's why you need that chiropractor on your health team and going in for regular checkups and adjustments to detect and correct that subluxation, and then educate families on the importance of implementing those lifestyle changes like spinal hygiene, etc., supplements, things like that, to educate and coach families who want you to be their chiropractor.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So we're reaching the end of our time here. So, how can, chiropractors reach you? How, what you got for them? I know you have spots to share and gift your time to help doctors implement this, because honestly, that's like, I think it's like, oh, I know I gotta do it, but it's like, oh, another thing on my plate. Relax.
I know.
Tabor's gonna help you make it real easy, very simple. Whether you use spinal hygiene kit or not, this is not to buy his stuff. This is just to help you elevate
That's right.
what you're doing. Just increase your standards.
And that's the reason I started doing this is because number one, you can go to spinalhygieneproducts.com. You can buy the kits and implement them however you like. But what I noticed is when I did get on a call with a team or with a doctor, I was able to help them tweak little things that I've seen in hundreds of other offices and how they're implementing them and how they're using them. And I got a lot of really good feedback from that. It's like, once you told us to start doing this, or once you helped us with understanding this, or you taught, my staff about this, it really took it to the next level in our office. And I want to help you do that. I want to help docs do that. If I can just talk with you for a few minutes and it helps you to implement that, have you less stress in your life and your practice grows and your patients get those results, that's what it's all about. I'll show you everything we offer and you can use whatever you want to.
Awesome, man. Beautiful.
So again, the email is Dr. Tabor at spinalhygienist.com. That's DRTABOR at spinalhygienist.com. Just shoot me an email. I'll send you my calendar link and we'll get scheduled.
Awesome, man. Awesome. My last words on this is thank you, brother. I really appreciate it. I've been following you. I remember just seeing you on Facebook, doing videos about, hey, spinal hygiene, do this and that, and having, a couple of views and now, I don't know, what's it, 7 years, 8 years?
Yeah. It's been at
8 years
least 7 or 8
later,
years. Yep.
Life University has a spinal hygiene certification
That's right.
program, and you're
Yep.
certifying CAs, you're certifying doctors, elevating the profession.
Yep.
I want to congratulate you. I'm so proud of you, brother. And
Thank you, man.
And I wish you all the success that you deserve. So
Thank you, brother. That means a lot to me, and thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for having me on.
absolutely. So guys, girls, queens and kings, information doesn't change lives. Action is what changes lives. So email Dr. Tabor, get on the phone with him, implement, elevate your standards, and watch the magic happen. Love you all. See you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Build Your Remarkable Practice podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, share with your friends, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, please click the links in the show notes to schedule a call.